The sea breeze whispered tales of faraway lands across the quiet port island, a place where dreams were born and ships were their vessels. For young Leo, every departing sail was a call to adventure, a pull toward a destiny he felt deep in his soul. He would often sit on the old wooden docks, his gaze fixed on the horizon, the worn edges of a tattered treasure map soft beneath his fingertips. It was more than just paper and ink, it was a promise. A promise of the legendary ocean's heart, a gem said to hold the very soul of the sea, and a life far grander than this small, sleepy island could offer. The map glowed with possibility in his mind, and with every beat of his heart, Leo's excitement for the journey ahead swelled like the tide. Fueled by youthful ambition, Leo saw his chance. A large cargo ship, the Sea Serpent was preparing to depart, its belly full of goods bound for distant shores. Under the cloak of dusk, he scurried aboard, his small frame easily lost among the crates and barrels. The thrill of the forbiddance was electric, but it was short-lived. A burly crewman, with a face like a weathered cliffside, discovered him before the ship even cleared the harbor. With a gruff laugh and a firm grip on his collar, the man unceremoniously deposited Leo back onto the pier. The sting of failure was sharp, a cold splash of reality. He watched the Sea Serpent shrink into a dot on the ocean, the bitter truth settling in. A dream and a map were not enough. He needed skills, the kind that turned a boy into a pirate. His island had its own legends, and one of them lived in a secluded cove at the edge of the port. Kale, a name spoken in hushed, reverent tones, was a former pirate captain who had traded his cutlass for a fishing rod. Leo, desperate and determined, sought him out. He found the old man mending his nets, his face a roadmap of storms weathered and battles won. Leo poured out his heart, presenting his treasure map and begging to be taught the ways of the sea. But Kel's eyes, once said to command fleets, were now cold and distant. He dismissed the boy with a stern wave of his hand, turning his back on Leo's pleas. The world of piracy, he growled, was no place for a child with foolish dreams. Defeated but not broken, Leo returned to the main port just as the sky began to weep. A sudden, violent squall descended upon the island, whipping the sea into a frenzy. The wind howled and rain lashed down, tearing at the very foundations of the docks. Amidst the chaos, Leo overheard panicked fishermen shouting that the storm had ripped Kel's nets from their moorings, a devastating loss for the old man. A spark ignited within him. This was his chance. Without a second thought, he untied a small, rickety skiff and pushed off into the raging waters. The tiny boat was tossed mercilessly by the colossal waves, but Leo held the tiller with a white-knuckled grip, his eyes scanning the churning sea. He battled the tempest with a courage he didn't know he possessed, finally spotting the tangled mess of nets caught against a rocky outcrop and securing them. As the storm subsided, Leo guided the battered skiff back to Kel's Cove, the recovered nets piled high. Kale stood on the shore, having watched the entire ordeal in stunned silence. He saw not a foolish boy, but a spirit as untamable as the storm itself. The old pirate's hardened exterior cracked, and a flicker of admiration ignited in his weary eyes. He saw the same fire that had once burned within him. Looking from the exhausted but triumphant boy to the open sea, Kale finally nodded. The training would be hard, he warned, but he would teach him. On that day, under the watchful gaze of the clearing sky, a boy's dream found its captain, and their legendary journey together had truly begun. The real training began not with a sword, but with a mop. Kale, his face as weathered as the ship's hull, handed Leo a bucket and a stiff-bristled brush. A pirate's first duty is to his ship, he grunted, pointing a callous finger at the grime-caked deck. And so, Leo's grand adventure started with the decidedly unglamorous tasks of scrubbing planks until his knuckles were raw, mending sails with fingers that fumbled with the needle, and spending hours tying and retying a dizzying array of knots until the motions became second nature. He was clumsy, often tripping over his own feet and earning more than a few splinters, but a fire of determination burned in his eyes. He would not fail. As the days bled into weeks, the menial chores gave way to the true arts of the pirate trade. Kale was a demanding teacher, his lessons as sharp and unforgiving as a cutlass. They started with swordplay, the clash of wooden sticks echoing across the quiet cove as Cale drilled Leo on footwood, parries, and strikes. Leo's arms ached constantly, but slowly, his clumsy swings gained a fluid grace. At night, under a blanket of stars, Cale would unroll ancient, yellow charts. He taught Leo how to find his way by the constellations, to read the secrets of the celestial bodies, and to understand the language of the winds and tides. Their classroom then moved to the sea itself, where Cale had Leo take the helm of a small, nimble skiff. He forced the boy to navigate through choppy waves and unpredictable currents, teaching him how to feel the rhythm of the ocean and make the boat an extension of his own will. Their quiet routine was shattered one blustery afternoon by the arrival of Sharky, a local brute with a smear permanently etched onto his face and a reputation for cruelty. "Look what we have here," Sharky jeered, his eyes falling on Leo. "Playing pirate, are we, little boy?" He spat on the ground. "You're no pirate. You're just a stray dog." Cale picked up Sharky's cronies laughed. He then pointed a thick finger towards a jagged, treacherous rocky outcrop known to locals as the Dragon's Teeth. "I challenge you to a race, around the teeth and back. If you win, I'll admit you've got sea salt in your veins. But when you lose, you'll leave this island and never come back." Leo's heart hammered against his ribs, but he saw Pel's subtle nod that he accepted. The race began, and Sharky, relying on brute force, powered his boat straight into the wind. But Leo, remembering Pel's lessons on currents and wind patterns, chose a different path. He tacked skillfully, using a hidden current near the shore to his advantage, finding a smarter, safer channel through the rocks that Sharky had ignored. He sailed a wider, but ultimately faster, route, arriving back at the starting point a full minute before Sharky's vessel even rounded the final bend. As Leo guided the skiff back to shore, his face flushed with victory. He saw Cale standing on the beach. The old pirate didn't smile, but a rare look of pride softened his features. He gave a slow, deliberate nod of approval. "Your basic training is complete," Cale announced, his voice carrying on the sea breeze. He looked out toward the horizon, a familiar glint of purpose returning to his eyes. "You have proven you can think and sail. Now, the real work begins. We must find a ship, a real ship, worthy of our quest. The ocean's heart awaits, and the sea is calling our names."